Right, yes, enough silliness. Quite enough silliness for one live stream already, isn't it? Because we don't do silliness here in Pimbatia. We do rain, and we do in Blatt Hund under the table.
Because she follows me everywhere.
And you've been playing in the rain, haven't you?
Yes.
What have you been doing playing in the rain?
Been feeding ducks and providing roof for our new member of the doings.
The aristocracy.
Yeah.
Yes.
A
clown bird.
Mr. Clown Face.
Yeah. Good.
Or Mr. Guinea Fowl.
Guinea
if you
fowl.
like.
Yes.
He's awesome.
Right. You know the drill, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and super intelligent shades of the colour sky blue pink. What you need to do is put a Q, not 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 Qs, a Q of the capital variety, then a colon, then write your question out in full. Don't use 3-letter acronyms, they're a pain in the ass, for fuck's sake. Write words, yes, write words. And then at the end of your words, put a question mark. And make sure that your question is a question, not a statement. And also, it would be good if your question made the slightest sense in the first instance, if possible. If not, Ted will take the piss out of you. Won't you, Ted?
Yes.
Yes, I will.
Be specific with your questions.
Be very specific.
And don't ask us questions that Google can answer very quickly, like, how much vitamin A should I have?
Yes. Also, don't repeat your questions.
No.
Write your question once, and if Ted deigns that it should appear on the screen, he will whisper in Her Majesty's shell-like ear, in a fashion similar to this.
Shell-like.
And he'll say, Your Majesty Pym, Queen of Pirates, first of your name, the unpoked mother of puppies, all of that. Here is a question. And Pym will say, here is a question.
A question?
A question.
Yes.
And that's how we roll here, boys and girls. So let's kick off.
Yes, we answer all questions unless we're starting to run out of time. At which time we'll let you know that I'll just pick whatever I want.
That's right.
So that's why do not ask the same question twice. If you go and have a fucking piss in the middle and miss our answer, then you have to watch the replay.
Then get fucked in.
Or get fucked then. You choose.
Yes.
So
It's pretty simple, really.
Yeah.
Yes. Ted
Right.
runs a tight ship here.
Actually, I don't mind if you put 3 Qs in, but, you know, you don't need to. I'll see any Q.
Yes. 1 Q will do.
Yeah.
The number of the counting shall be 1.
1 Q will do, but
Right.
3's fine. So, first question. Is the lion diet the most indicated diet for humans?
It's up there. Absolutely, it's close to a perfect diet. There's nothing missing from that diet that a human being needs on a daily basis. If you ate nothing but beef, salt and water, that would be just fine ongoingly. For most people under most circumstances. The caveat I should make clear for those that don't get it already is that all comments made in these Q&A sessions have to be targeted and made for the middle of the bell-shaped curve. You may be someone that's at one end. There may be a medical reason why you personally can't eat nothing but beef, salt and water. Maybe you have alpha-gal, for example. Okay? The comment that the diet is ideal does not apply to you in that case, obviously. Okay? Yay, Super Chat action
Super
straight away.
Chat,
We
yay.
love Super Chat, and we love Juliet, don't we?
Right, so, like button hit.
Yes,
Check.
good.
Super chat, check.
Good.
Tuning in while I serve up some brisket for the family. Love you guys.
We love you too, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We love us some Juliet up in here.
Righto.
Good.
What do you make on NAD plus supplements / injections?
Yeah.
Are these actually worth the hype or not?
I'm going to be quite agnostic on this particular field because it's not a field of my absolute expertise. It's in line with my expertise. And I guess my generalised comments would be along the lines of, well, look, if you, for some reason, have a compromising influence over your ability to produce and or maintain the right level of NAD, then yes, the supplement may be of some assistance. Otherwise, no. And there's not actually a zero risk. So, you know, it's something you have to look at carefully and apply to your own situation, I think. What do you think on NAD plus supplements? Yeah, good.
Good.
Awesome.
But the question is 42.
Yes, well, that's the answer, actually, to all the questions, apparently.
Well, that was a question.
Yes.
Yes.
According to Adams, that's the answer to the great question of life, the universe, and everything. The problem is,
here is 7.
we didn't define what the question actually is.
No.
Right.
So, Professor Bart K, are you
Yes.
going to make a What I Eat in a Day video soon? If not, could you please tell us what you ate today?
Okay, you can see my response to that question a few down there in writing, if you want to bring that up on the screen.
Is that it?
Yeah, welcome. Clearly you're new here. We like new people, that's great. I have actually made several What I Eat in a Day videos over the years, and you will find them in my repositories, either here on the YouTubes, or in my older videos, which are now reposited on the Odyssey platform. Ted, you stop twiddling that knob.
Yes,
Why did you
indeed.
stop twiddling? You nearly fell on the floor. Yeah, find them. Watch them. They're great. There's several videos of Pim and I sitting down to a meal and eating it. Well, Pim's off camera making
baby.
commentary, as she often does, because she likes to be off camera making smart-ass comments, don't you?
Rude?
My girlfriend tells me that things that are true, by definition, ergo, are not rude. Does she not?
Next question. Do I need to overanalyze my animal butter company to see if there is enough butyric acid in it, or am I overanalyzing this thing already?
So you're making butter and selling butter? That's great if you are making and selling butter. How much butyric acid should there be? And what claims are you making about the level of butyric acid?
Oh, dog, come on.
It's actually butyrate, by the way, not butyric acid. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve, what claims you're making, and who the consumers are, and all of that as to what you need to be doing by way of analysis. If you're making foodstuffs for sales, I would suspect that there are, in most countries and territories, there will be requirements on what kind of testing you do have to undertake. So that would be the minimum set, and then anything additional would be at your discretion, I would have thought.
Very nice.
Yes, very nice indeed.
Does cooked red meat lose some of its vitamin C, or is that a myth?
Yes, it does, but so what? Show me a carnivore eating person who eats carnivore, even well-cooked carnivore, and nothing but well-cooked carnivore, who has scurvy. Shall we wait for that? I won't hit the button.
Good. Hi, what is the acceptable amount of carbs allowed per day from dairy products like raw milk or yogurt?
There is no such thing as an acceptable amount of carbohydrates. At the end of the day, each individual person has to make their own decision about how many exogenous carbohydrates they are going to put into their body and from what form. I advocate for the optimal diet for human beings containing no exogenous carbohydrates to speak of. However, my personal choice, my own diet, does contain some in the form of raw goat's milk and associated homemade raw goat's milk associated products like cream cheese and mozzarella cheese and stuff like that.
Kefir.
Kefir, yes, good. I make a decision. I want X amount of that dairy in my diet because I think it does me well. I am not gaining adiposity. I am not suffering from any of the problems that I have in the past associated with the taking in of bovine dairy and pasteurized bovine dairy at that. So either the difference between bovine and goat and or the difference between pasteurized and unpasteurized makes all the difference for me. And it's good stuff. And I make no apologies for it. So, suck it up or get fucked in.
Also, if the body is capable of storing carbs plus fats as body fat, doesn't that mean that it's storing amino acids too in the form of body fat?
Only if you take in a large amount of amino acids, much larger than to replete your pool of amino acids, and then your body will undertake a gluconeogenesis of some of those excess amino acids, which then can be either oxidized and or further stored by further transmutation by the metabolic pathways to free fatty acids, triacylglycerides, thus to be poked into your adipose tissues and such.
Pokey, pokey.
Pokey, pokey. Maloki, maloki.
Does cerebral plasma flow work the same way as fibrinolytic medications like alteplase?
Mm-hmm.
What makes plasma flow better?
Okay, plasma flow I can speak to, knowing what it is. It's an enzymatic preparation. The enzymes are targeted to fibrin in the microvasculature, which occurs due to chronic systemic inflammation, which never resolves properly. It works effectively, it works well. I am not well versed in alteplase. I do not know what its mechanism of action is. The pharmacology of that particular drug I am not familiar with, and as such I can't really comment on that drug. What makes plasma flow better? Well, in my mind, it's one of the products that I stand behind because I've looked into it and I'm happy with what it does and how it does it. I make no comment about alteplase because I'm not familiar with it. How's that?
So, is it okay to grind eggshells for extra calcium?
Sure.
Sure, grind away.
Grind away. Grind away.
If we aren't supposed to eat starch, then why do we have amylase in our mouth?
Because there is no negative selection pressure on our genes to knock that out. In the same way that we don't have sharp pointy teeth like this, because there's no negative selection pressure that would knock out people that don't have sharp pointy teeth like this, because you see we have thumbs, a brain, the ability to communicate with one another and work together. We can fashion sharp pointy sticks and throw rocks and make lots of noise and scare animals and corral them into areas we want to make them easier to dispatch. It's really quite a simple thing. And our ability to break down starch starting immediately in the saliva, there is no negative connotation to that ability that would cause it to be knocked out. So, there it is. It remains. It's a vestigial thing.
Speaking of corralling.
Yes, corralling.
The corral was open yesterday and we had 2 cows and a calf who managed to close themselves in there.
Did they?
And they stood there shouting for me until I came to
Mom!
let them out.
Mom! Mom! Is that what all that shouting was about?
Pretty much. So
No, I wasn't here. I didn't hear it. I was off
you
playing
were
cricket.
not. You were the one who opened it and they shut it.
And I must mention, I hit a 6 yesterday at cricket for the second time in 10 years. The first time was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It's becoming a habit now, hitting 6s.
Mm-hmm.
Quite the dinger it was too. A huge one it was. Anyway,
Right.
yeah.
Do you think ischemic stroke and myocardial infarction have the same cause, like artery damage? Is it just that one happens in the brain and the other in the heart?
They are similar processes that usually lead to those outcomes, yes.
Okay, you go play.
Me?
No,
Or
she
this
keeps
guy?
coming back. No, the wet one there.
This one isn't wet, for once. How you did?
Right. Why does cholesterol seem to raise with age?
Well, it's one of the things that your body has under homeostatic control, and your gene set knows what it's doing, and it knows how to optimize all your parameters best conduced to your prospects, I guess. And it may well be that as you age, there is more repair work that needs to be done to the cells around your body, and given that 50% of every cell membrane of every cell in your body is cholesterol, that wouldn't surprise me. How's that? For some good guesstimation.
Right. Are there anti-nutrients in fermented dairy, or is that only a concern in plants?
Anti-nutrients in dairy? I don't think so. And in fermented dairy? I don't think the answer would be any different. Are you aware of any anti-nutrients in dairy?
Nope.
No, I'm not either.
Right. What's the best order to take cereal supplements like Stem Enhance, Plasma Flow, and Cyactive? Which one should be taken first, second, and third?
Right, on the labels there are taking suggestions, like away from food or with food. I find personally that the best way to take them is when you will. I find that these things work miraculously better when they are in your body rather than in your pantry cupboard. So I don't think it really makes a huge difference. What I do personally is I take mine in the morning with the coffee that I choose to take in the morning with goat's milk in it. And I go nom 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 and I stuff them in 2 lots of 4 because I take 8 in the morning. And I gob those back. Sometimes I take all at once if I'm feeling feisty. And just get them in you, basically. Yeah.
Get them in you.
Get them in you.
Seen the fear-mongering video with Ferritin by Lily Kane and Dr. Berry. I thought Dr. Berry did a poor job entertaining Lily's silliness. Might be deserving of another takedown video, Lily, of course.
Yes, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you. I'll have a look at it during the week because Lily is good value in that every time I do a video on Lily, it gets immense viewer numbers. Unfortunately, Lily has kind of lost the plot a bit and has got very silly lately in terms of what she's saying and how she's saying it. She has sucked the salad I don't know lollipop. She has gone down that particular route. And anyone that listens to Paul Salad I Don't Know and sees him as a valid source of information pretty much on anything is a fucking imbecile. Sorry, Lily, just the facts. Love you, honey, but you've lost the plot. So yes, I will have a look at that and we'll probably do a video on it. Stick around. Also, look, guys, I'm also aware that there are a number of interviews I have recorded with folks that are still in the editing department, some of them several months old. I understand. I know. It's happening. I'm a busy man. I've got a lot on. We're juggling things. We also have to make editorial decisions about what videos we put up and in what order at what timing. You know, bear with us or else get fucked in.
We'll get fucked in.
We'll get fucked in. Yeah.
Good. Right, since seed oils release toxic aldehydes when exposed to heat,
Yes.
and we know that those cause mitochondria and DNA damage, can
Yes.
we say seed oils promote carcinogenesis, possibly?
You can say anything you like so long as you suffix it with possibly or prefix it with possibly. Maybe this could be something that could occur. Your logic and the proposed mechanism of a problem is sound and is demonstrated, at least in vitro. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable line of logic. And yes, you do need to caveat with possibly, maybe, and this could occur. Yes.
Or likely.
Or it's like you could say it's more likely. Well, that's almost a stretch too, though. But whatever.
Is the amount of beta carotene in eggs, butter, and cheese an issue? Because I heard people say carotene is actually bad for humans.
I don't think so personally. I don't think it's an issue.
What is your favourite cut of meat and why? Animal.
Andrew, good to see you, my man. It's been too long, and I would still be very interested in doing some collaborative work with you if you're up for it. Just let me know. We could have a discussion / debate / whatever, however you want to do it. Whatever you think will get the best viewer numbers. I like picanha or rump cap from a beef animal. I've also taken a real liking to
Wagyu.
Wagyu, thank you. How did you know that's the word I was struggling to find? Wagyu. Wagyu's awesome. We're going to get some Wagyu cows at some point, and we're going to feed them grass, lots of it, because we have plenty of grass here in Pimbatia. And we're going to make Wagyu protein out of grass.
At some point.
Yes, because we are alchemists.
Right now we are doing Angus.
Yes, our chief science officer is Ted. And if you're interested in Ted's views on things, you should probably go to the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, and type in @HRH_Ted, His Royal Highness Ted. He's saying things a lot over there. In fact, I can't do a thing with him. I can't get him to tone it down. He's very rude. He's very obnoxious. We love it, don't we?
Okay.
Follow Ted. It's the rules.
Why post-surgeon diets they choose to give carbs, fast energy, and not fats and protein? For the obvious reason of fast energy?
Because they are ill-educated, mistrained, and mandated to follow a line of accepted practice, which is contraindicated, foolish, suboptimal for patients, and frankly unacceptable. However, doctors have no choice. They cannot think for themselves. Are you fucking around down there? Mm-hmm. She always fuck around. She fucks around too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, doctors aren't allowed to think. They just have to do it. It's paint by numbers. If then. Trained monkey could do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Some doctors are much better than trained monkeys. I'm not saying they aren't, but they are the exception and not the rule. I know some doctors who I trust absolutely, who are great, but not because they are doctors, but because what they have to say is in fact correct.
Who was the South African doctor who said that humans need not 1 gram of carbohydrates?
That is Professor Timothy Noakes, Noakes. Tim Noakes. Former professor of sport and exercise science at Cape Town, and also a former medical practitioner who has now ceased being a medical practitioner. And I think he's ceased being a professor too.
Can you?
Well, you can cease doing the job. He still has the title,
Yes.
obviously, because it's a
You're
title.
professor forever. You can't get rid of it.
That's right. Well, you can if you want to. You can actually, rescind it back. Mm-hmm. For want of a better term, you can say, I recuse myself from professorial rank.
So this is kind of a prime question of what we asked you to not ask. How much salt, potassium, magnesium and calcium should we eat per day?
Okay, number one, go and do a Google on what the suggested levels of intake are, and then ignore them completely because they're not based on science. It's just rubbish put together by boards of individuals, put together by people with all sorts of financial, I guess, requirements behind them. What you need to concern yourself with is eating a species-appropriate, species-specific diet, or as close to that as you can attain, maintain, and be happy doing.
If you have any fucking symptoms of a deficiency of something, then eat more of that.
That's right. And see what happens. But at the end of the day, everything that you need, by way of all the macro and micronutrients, you will find in the meat of large ruminant animals and the associated fat thereto. That's what you should just do. That eating around about 2 grams of protein per kilo of non-fat mass per day, and fat to satiety, pretty much.
Right, we finished.
I saw Patty was in the house earlier. If she's not still, good to see you, Patty. And my interview with Patty should be out early next week.
Right. What is the second best YouTube channel for information on human nutrition?
Dr. Anthony Chaffee, probably.
How about Dr. Berry?
Dr. Berry would be close on that mark, and it would slide into a very, very close third, I would say. It's tough to put together a top 5 because they're all so closely rateable, I think.
Yes, okay. Any tips for using Carnivore Lion for treating, managing severe OCD, intrusive thoughts? Really struggling with this condition, about 85 days into Carnivore with no results, unfortunately.
Not being an expert in psychological presentations, it would be irresponsible for me to make too much commentary along those lines, except to say that we do know that many of these kind of things are exacerbated, made worse, by chronic systemic inflammation. So I would say if you follow my 5 health hacks, which you'll find on a video entitled 5 Health Hacks You Need to Know About on my channel, do all 5 of those things every fucking day of your life. Give it 6 months or so, and I think you won't know yourself. And if you do need to get support from someone who deals with OCD, etc. professionally, I would suggest that you don't not get that support. I would suggest you do. Double negative. Mm-hmm. Don't not.
Yes.
Do. Yes, good.
Don't not. It's
Don't not.
British English.
Don't not. Roly-poly, no singing.
Indeed. Why they choose... Well, seriously? Don't ask your questions twice, because I don't read all of them. I just look for the cues. Or get fucked.
Or get fucked then.
Why does walking primarily oxidized fats.
Yeah.
Aren't muscles using glycogen for contraction during walking?
Yes, they are, absolutely. All muscle contractions of all intensities and all muscle fibers everywhere in the body can be fired, the sliding filaments, only by glycogenolysis. Yes, there is glucose being used. The respiratory exchange ratio erroneously tends to suggest to researchers who don't know any better that it's all fat that's being oxidized and not carbohydrate. You need to understand a bit more about exercise physiology to understand the reasons why that is a false construct. It's a model, it's an idea. In actual fact, you are using both carbohydrates and fats at all levels of exercise intensity, even when the RER goes above 1.1, where it's claimed that there's absolutely no fat being oxidized anymore at that level. No, that's false too. I do have a whole playlist on exercise physiology if people want to watch that on my channel. Also, I had a great discussion with DC Learning to Live during the week about exercise physiology. Plus, I did a review of this clown called McGowan who thinks himself an expert in exercise physiology during the week, which you might want to watch too.
Okay then.
Cool. Or you could read my peer-reviewed publications if you want on the topic. All you need to do for that is go to the search engine of your choice on the peer-reviewed published literature. It's something I've published on quite extensively in another life when I used to be an academic.
Sure now. My elderly mother is suffering inflammation. Blood tests show serum C-reactive protein of 11 milligrams, but she refuses to listen to me about carnivore diet and wants to avoid red meat. Any advice, please?
Yes, horses and water. You can lead the horse there, but no way you can make it drink. Sorry about that. I mean, even someone like myself with my background and my knowledge, there's no way I'm going to get my mum to do something she doesn't want to do, or not to do something that I think she shouldn't do, that she went ahead and did anyway. Very upset I was. Yeah, sorry, there's just no way. All you can do is model the correct behaviour and show the correct results yourself. You can suggest sources of information online, but if she's not going to listen, she's not going to listen.
Or if you found a specific video of someone who has solved her specific problem with carnivore, then show her that, if she even wants to watch it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I eat carnivore, I follow your protocol, hypertrophy, so I'm not overdoing it. When I exercise, my face gets flushed and breaks out in red bumps, acne. Any idea why and how to remedy this?
Acne, as in acne pimples, that sounds hormonal. Unless what we're talking about is something like some oxalate dumping. I don't know without having a look. I'm also not a dermatologist. I would ask Dr. Abs about that one. In terms of the red and flushing, that's normal during exercise. You're supposed to get red and flushed.
Super chat.
Yeah, we like
Mr.
super
Swallow.
chats. Hello, Swallow.
What sort of exercises do you consider cardio and why do you feel they should be avoided? Thank you as always.
Okay, well, there's two ways of looking at that. Number one, you could say all exercise is cardio because all exercise requires the use of your cardiovascular system to facilitate. What I'm really suggesting when I say you should avoid cardio, what I really mean is that middle range of intensity on your exercise intensity spectrum. Walking, any amount of walking, very low intensity stuff, fine, no problem. Very, very high intensity stuff at the top end of your ability, fine. All the stuff in the middle that they tell you is great for you and you should do a lot of, no. Stay the fuck out of there. Don't do that. Bad idea. Unless you are involved in a sport requiring that, in which case I would say to you, stop it. Change sport. Not a good idea.
Stop it.
Stop it. Right.
Okay.
Good.
What is your opinion on carbonated beverages?
Completely unnecessary. Possibly problematic, depending on what else is going on. For an occasional something just to tart up your water, fine. If it's sweetened, flavoured, whatever, not a good idea. So, I mean, just gassed water, fine occasionally, but I wouldn't drink litres and litres of it or anything.
What kind of effort would you see as a waste of time with cardio for general fitness, i.e. would heart rate of 130 to 140 with easy breathing be an okay level of intensity?
For what goal? What is your aim? What is it you are trying to get fit for? There is no such thing as general fitness, and general fitness is not synonymous with health. In fact, general fitness is generally an indication that your health status might well be a problem long term actually. You need to be very specific with your fitness questions as regards to for what purpose are you trying to get fit. You missed the comment above, that one. That needs to come up on the screen.
Were you finished with this question?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done with the 6 bar.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a 6 yesterday.
Oh, Jesus.
Did I mention my 6?
Yes, you did.
Into the stand, half a dozen.
Why are there only 27 thumbs up while 120 are watching?
I don't know why. Ted, can you look into that, please, and take some names down, please, Ted?
He looks washed out on camera.
He does. He's much more yellow than he appears.
Oh.
And I'm much browner, and so is Her Majesty Pym, Queen of Pirates, much browner than we appear. We also have very bright studio lights which wash us out.
Yes.
So you can see us at all.
So if you don't want to be punished by Ted, give it a thumbs up.
That's right. And he will show up late at night, and he will bring his bucket of soapy frogs and that wetsuit with the bottom cut out.
Does that answer the next question? Why is the teddy wet?
He's not. He's dry.
Are there physical signals as to whether or not you are getting enough fat? I feel like I struggle with getting enough, but not sure.
How's your energy? How's your affect generally? One of the first signs of not getting enough fat is inflammation, a lack of energy, general malaise.
Dry skin.
Yes, good. Dry skin, poor nails, poor hair.
Do you crave fat? Or can you handle eating more fat then?
Sounds like the start of an advertisement, doesn't it? Do you crave fat?
Do you crave fat? Yeah, my body tells me when I want fat or not.
Yes. Hello, Snoozy. Would you like to come and say hello to the boys and girls? Come on in.
Just been trying forever, but it's so wet.
Come on. Hey. Oh, one very wet dog. Oh, yes, you are very wet. Would you like to say hello? No? Oh, well, she's all shy now that she's on camera. Oh.
Shy.
Oh, you stink.
Yeah, exactly.
Whew.
Yeah, I think she was out eating chicken chut this morning.
Oh, I think that, lovely as it is, I think that you should, yes. Go down there. Whew, Jesus.
I didn't want to make that mistake. Do you think drinking 2 shots of espresso coffee every weekend is too much?
Probably not.
You probably live.
Yeah.
Can you speak on the benefits, drawbacks of lactose for the gut microbiome?
Lactose, milk sugar. If you are taking in an amount of lactose, as I do in my diet, then you will have a microbiome that is best conduced to dealing with that and enjoying that. If you do it for long enough and you're not a person that reacts badly to lactose. In terms of saying that in and of itself is the benefit, don't think so.
Poor Ted looking not as yellow as he ought to.
I know. It's dreadful, isn't it? Jeez, it's pissing down, isn't it?
Yes.
It is raining in Pimbatia.
On and off. A lot. It's been probably raining 3 centimeters since last night.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Maybe we'll get our duck pond back.
As in 30 millimeters. I don't know how many inches that is for you Americans.
That's 1.25 inches. Give or take.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, 1 1/5 inches, not a quarter.
Okay. What are the advantages of sheep and goats' milk cheese over cows?
Don't know. It's all very individual in terms of dairy as to what's good for you and what's not. Your mileage will vary.
I mean, there are differences in the composition.
Yeah.
More short-chain fatty acids in goat's milk in general.
I know
If it's raw, it's more naturally homogenized. If that makes any freaking difference. I really don't know.
Mm.
Just makes it difficult to make goat butter. So that's
And
a drawback.
different proteins.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
So I don't think one is better or worse than the other necessarily. They're just different.
Oh, that next comment from Robert Wardlow is interesting.
This one?
Yeah.
I think Paul Saladino is a covert narcissist. He says nobody's willing to have a conversation or debate with him on health topics.
Paul Salad, I don't know. Listen carefully, sunshine. Any fucking day of the week or twice on Sundays, you and I should absolutely have a face-to-face debate. Perhaps that will occur after you stop pretending that you don't know who I am, you pathetic, cowardly little cunt. And I say little, not because of your body size, but because of your contribution to society. You are a little man, Paul, and you are an ignorant buffoon, and I will debate you any fucking day of the week, and I will tear you 7 new assholes. How's that?
Are you upset by Paul?
No, it's just a bit of baiting. Paul is not
Okay.
important enough in my life to make any difference to my life.
Why does food make my nose run? Is it an allergy?
Well, if your nose starts running after you eat a specific thing, that may well be an allergy.
What if it's every food?
Then it may well be part of a generalised inflammatory response to food, which might be extreme in this person's case. That's a guess, of course. I would need to sit down with this person.
It's a consultancy question.
It is a consultancy question, and we would need to talk it out for an hour or so to see if we can get to the bottom of it.
Good.
Consultancies are arrangeable at the link underneath this video in the show notes. It's the bit.ly/Bart-KAY address.
Please, can I ask, do you think the Randall cycle learnings have been actively suppressed over the years?
Yes, I do think that. Yes, absolutely.
What do you think of using powdered milk for extra protein?
Why? For what purpose? Eat more meat if you're not getting enough protein.
Meat and eggs and steak and eggs.
Steak and eggs, no singing.
Someone's asking about that somewhere down the line. We have probably 25 questions waiting, so.
Uh-huh.
Do drop sets to failure, reducing weight, train muscles to adapt to lighter loads? Bad. Or activate fast twitch fibers due to high intensity failure?
Drop sets to failure are a means to elicit a higher level of work from a muscle than is the norm. The basis for hypertrophy training and strength training, to be fair, is 2 working sets of 8 to 10 reps. Well, 4 to 10 reps, depending on whether we're talking about absolute strength or hypertrophy being the focus. And yes, drop sets can be thrown in as part of a periodized program in order to shock the body through a plateau or those kind of things. But at the end of the day, more volume and more volume and more volume all the time is not better. How's that? So, many questions still. It's a good day for questions.
Yeah. Thank you for your answers. Why do I feel less depressed, incompetent when I fast?
Well, that would probably be the anti-inflammatory effect of the fasting, I would suggest would be my first guess. Hello, Shell. Good to see you, honey bunny.
Yes.
We love us some Shell up in here, don't we?
Could also be when you fast, you have to produce energy from fat, like ketones, which might help your brain in some way.
Yes, maybe. Excuse me.
Please,
Go on.
can I ask what is the mechanism of the inflammation that is caused after the fat has been locked out of Randall cycle has been activated? Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. There is a slight depression in the level of ATP in the cell cytosol as a function of the cross inhibition of both fats and carbohydrates by each other. And this means that the level of inorganic phosphate in the cell will necessarily come up concomitant to that. And we know that that will activate a bunch of the kinases involved in the pro-inflammatory cascade. So there's your mechanism. It's inorganic phosphate based. How's that?
Very
Lovely.
good. Does performing high-intensity training while on a fasted state speed up or increase the rate of autophagy?
Unknown. No idea.
My guess would be yes.
Yeah, my guess would be yes too, but I don't know for a fact. I haven't read anything on that, and nothing recent.
What do you think about toxic bile theory? Some say we need soluble fiber to stop the reabsorption of bile and toxins, like activated charcoal, for example.
It's absolute fucking nonsense from start to finish, from the ground up. Rubbish.
All the way from the ground?
Yes. Some people
hell.
have problems with their biliary system, absolutely, but it's, this is not a generalised thing, and to suggest that people in general require any amount of fibre, dietary fibre, is false. We do not. Not 1 single gram ever, to borrow the terminology of Professor Noakes.
Thoughts on doing more 2-to-1 for significant neuro, mental and cog issues, iatrogenically induced, fuck big pharma.
2 to 1, what to what? What are you talking
Not
about?
sure.
Spell it out, for goodness sake.
I have no idea.
Right.
I tried to figure that out. Thought maybe you would know.
No.
I think we have a Swedish super chat.
Lovely, we like Swedish.
Do you?
Mm.
From Birgersson.
Birger-
How would you say
Birgersson.
you would say Börje.
But yeah.
Börje. Hello.
Hello, Kai. Hey, Börje.
Sorry, Birge, have you seen that commercial, or are you not as old as me? Anyway.
50 kronor.
Yes, thank you for the super chat. I live in Sweden and almost forgot what the sun looks like. At what point do I need to worry about vitamin D doing strict carnivore?
If you get sufficient sun during those months where Sweden is bathed in sun on your bare skin, then you're not going to have too much to worry about. Again, this is a comment aimed directly at the middle of the bell-shaped curve. If there is symptomology that would lead us to believe that you do have a vitamin D deficiency, then we might suggest supplementation, carefully looking for probably a liposomal vitamin D3 supplement rather than an oil-based one, because they'll be as rancid as fuck. But mostly, if you store up in the summer and then you use it up in the winter and then you restore up again the next summer, it's kind of like a rhythm that your body will be, accustomed to, and it won't be a major problem for most people.
Can you not get one of these lights that helps stimulate vitamin D production in your skin? Maybe.
Dietary godkänt. If you get a good one. One that does the right intensity and the right spectrum.
Yeah, and if you live far up as well,
Yeah.
then it's probably not a bad idea
We have 200 viewers.
to not be so depressed if you are. I got a bit depressed in winter, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yes, 207 or 207.
Them.
Ah,
Yes.
scrolled too far.
Tack så mycket.
Varsågod. I'm speaking for Birger.
Hello, Kai.
What do you think about the Pottinger's Human YouTube channel?
I am unaware of it.
I have no idea who that is. Any opinion on red light therapy?
Yes, I'm told it can be quite useful under certain circumstances for those that need that kind of thing. I would defer absolutely to the expertise of Dr. Sarah Pugh.
Pew pew.
Pew pew! Pew pew! On that. And Sarah, we would love you to come to New Zealand once more and visit us here in Pimbatia. Of course, you will never be allowed to leave. That's the rules here. It's like Hotel California. And we should mention also that if you do want to come to Pimbatia and offer your support to our burgeoning nation, our independent sovereign nation, by way of doing some work here and staying here for free while you do that, and eating from the land here while you do that, you can. If you go to Banners Pim and hit the right one, which will be the one at the second, that one. Yes, that one.
What?
That
This one?
Yes, that one. There we go. Now at the bottom of the screen, you can go back to your comments tab now. Sorry. Going across the bottom of the screen now is the email address you will need to email us, and what you'll have to do is get past Ted. Ted will decide whether you are a good prospect to come and visit us here in do some work here and stuff and stay with us and all of that, and that would be awesome. And also the news is that hardcore carnivore stem enhance really is happening imminently, really, this time. And you can pre-order it, and it won't be that long a wait. I'll tell you more about that very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. For real this time. So do get pre-ordering hardcore stem enhance. Otherwise, we'll all have egg on our faces here in the Australian and New Zealand marketplace, and the rest of the world will never get the opportunity. And then, well, they'll be upset with us, won't they?
Yes, very. Okay.
Right, good.
What is that song you sing at the end? Eggs and...
Well, stick around to the end, and you'll hear it again, because it's the official national anthem of the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia. So we have to sing it at the end.
Stolen from The Simpsons, isn't it?
Nope. Family Guy.
Ah. Crap. Okay. Is leg strength in older age market for longevity?
There is an association between optimal levels of strength and functional capacity, longevity, yes. Is it causal? I mean, ice cream sales are also associated with shark attacks, aren't they? Yeah.
My legs have never been strong, so I'll probably die next week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Doesn't matter how much exercise I do for my legs, they don't get very strong.
I wouldn't if I was you. There's so much more Pimbatia to be enjoyed yet.
But how can I get strong legs then?
Well, go and do some cow lifting.
Cow lifting?
Yes.
Well...
Or maybe start with the sheeps.
Yeah.
Sheep wrangling. Hello, wet dog. Stinky wet dog.
But you still can't come out because you still stink.
And you're still a shit eater, aren't you?
And we still love you, but you can't come up. Okay, next. My father and sister uses margarine for cooking and baking. I have told them that it is bad, but they don't trust me. Can someone like you please try to shortly explain how dangerous it is? Thanks.
Yes, we could. Basically...
A margarine video.
Yeah. Margarine is a chemical shitstorm, which is only, separated from actual petrochemical products by a very small amount. They're very similar to those. There is absolutely no health benefit whatsoever in promoting such toxic garbage over actual natural fats. Basically, they've sucked the lollipop. They've drunk the Kool-Aid, haven't they? And I could look at making a video on that, but you could also find plenty of already existing videos on that very topic about how margarine is a shitstorm and you shouldn't go anywhere near it. If nothing else, it is so susceptible to oxidation, rancidity problems, and very dangerous primary and secondary oxidation products, which can cause untold damage to the body. Pro-inflammatory as well. Just not good stuff at all. Yes.
Please, can I ask what are good ways to improve energy if doing carnivore and running out of energy? Thanks.
Well, energy is a construct, but that's for another day. That, you're going to love this, that's a consultancy issue, because that's an individual thing based on your experience, your affect in the universe. I need to know what's going on. We need to sit down, you and I, face to face for an hour or so and talk it out to find out what the likely solution to your problem is.
Yeah, and as we said before, it might be that you're not eating enough fat.
Maybe.
Possibly. But not necessarily.
No, exactly.
All right. What would be a perfect 10 out of 10 nutritional study if we don't think about the ethics?
Well, you would have a large number of identical genetic human beings, probably clones, who are produced for the very purpose of the research and who are kept under lock and key in a laboratory situation for their entire lifespans to test the effects of various nutritional interventions on the health of those people, of those sets of genetically identical twins. clones.
What do we do with students that are distracted during class?
We send Ted around with his bucket of soapy frogs.
Because apparently... Oh, no, it's the wrong one, because the chat has moved. Master Chief Burgess just watched the Family Guy clip, never watched the show, so didn't know that that's where you got the steak and eggs from. So clearly he's not paying attention to what we're doing anymore.
No.
So how are we going to deal with this?
I don't know. Master Chief, have you not been paying attention during class? Do we need to send Ted around with his rampant wildebeest?
Apparently.
Or, perhaps, we should just put on our rocket pants and Junior Birdman the hell out of here.
Alrighty then.
Good.
If I have a strong craving for a particular meat or other animal product, could that be indicative of a deficiency? Lately I've been craving pork products.
It's possible. It is possible.
Are those pork products a lot fattier than what you usually eat?
Okay.
That could be it.
Also, are we
Possibly.
talking about bacon? And if so, is it cured using sugar?
I think we have a super chat.
Yay, super chat. We love us some super chat.
Oh, a super sticker.
Right.
So no question, but
Good.
thank you very much, Bobo.
We appreciate it.
Bobo.
That keeps the lights on.
I wish you didn't.
Well, then they can't see us.
It's fine with me. If I have a... Oh, we just had that one.
Yes.
Blah. Next.
Yeah.
How do seco enthusiasts explain proteins and fats being used for energy in mitochondria, counted as calories, while also repairing tissues, creating hormones, etc.?
Seco enthusiasts don't explain anything or understand anything. They are imbeciles. They are ill-educated imbeciles. They are usually arrogant, ill-educated imbeciles, most of whom like to tap the laws of physics until they're asked to actually cite which law and quote it for us, when they usually are unable singly to do so. For an example of that, you can see one of my fine supporters on a live stream that Paul from Norwich, Inch Herbivore, was doing one day, and they challenged him to quote the first law of thermodynamics. No, I don't know. It's thermodynamics, isn't it, Seco? You can't deny it. It's thermodynamics. Great, Paul. Would you like to cite the first law of thermodynamics? I don't know it. Actually, good. All right, I'm done.
So Shelley's wondering doesn't Master Chief have qualified immunity?
Well, all immunity is derived from His Lordship Ted, Master of the Universe, and if you can get around Ted, I think it'll be all right.
Okay.
Yeah, but no throwing paper darts down the back.
So when losing fat, does the body empty the fat cells and keep them for later so they can be readily available for storage, or does it destroy it?
Mostly your fat cells, while being deflated, will remain pretty much. Some of them do absolutely get self-destructed, removed, recycled, whatever. But yeah, they just become alleviated of their burden of fat and thus go somewhat flat, but they're still there, mostly.
That's why it's so easy to get super fat once you've been super fat, because mostly they don't get destroyed. They're waiting for more fat to gobble up.
Gobble, gobble.
I think we have another super chat.
Yay. Several.
No, one.
I don't think we've had the one above that, the super sticker. Yeah.
We just had the super sticker.
No, not that one though.
Oh,
Yeah.
did we not?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the super sticker.
Yes,
It
indeed.
says
Thank you.
nothing and we can't see it, but it's probably cool. A cool pair jumping around or something.
Yes, good.
And
Australian dollars, we like those too.
I think I'm not sure what that is. If it's
No
just
comments.
a super chat without the comment.
Inga
but thank you very
kommentarer.
much. This is confusing.
Tyst, inga kommentarer.
No fucking questions.
No.
We have 24 waiting, so
Right, good.
let's get on with it.
Yeah.
My two favorite YouTubers. Will the body still break down muscle given an intake of lower protein and super high fat? Thank you.
The only time that you're going to have muscle breakdown, assuming that your intake of food is sufficient, is if you detrain. The only other way to achieve it is to get to near starvation levels.
Yes. Is there any problem with taking aspirin to lower a fever?
Well, that's one of those questions that can't possibly be answered definitively. It's very individual as to whether a person should or should not be taking aspirin, how much, how often, etc. Aspirin is not a drug that comes without risks.
Can you provide more info on the benefits of C15 fatty acid, please?
Not something I've looked into carefully, but I'm aware that there's a lot of noise about it at the moment.
Did you achieve a victory over Danny Roddy and his Ray Pete crowd?
I didn't need to achieve anything. Everything they said was false, incorrect, ignorant, arrogant, ill-educated. All I had to do was point to it. So if you call that victory, sure, of course I did.
Sure. Have you heard of cases where Cellular skincare has alleviated milia, tiny white bumps? I've tried other brands containing retinol with no success.
I've heard all sorts of anecdotes from people about their experiences with Cellular skincare. I think it's a great range. I think that the AFA technology in the night cream is a world-leading, cutting-edge technology. In terms of that specific complaint, I can't think of anyone saying that they've had a good effect with that. Almost sounds like oxalate dumping.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on gelatin collagen as a protein?
It's fine. It's great. Awesome.
Which of the following are important markers for cardiovascular disease risk? LDL particle number, LDL small medium, HDL large, LDL pattern, LDL peak size, ApoB, LPA, HSCRP, and LP-PLA2 activity.
Absolutely none of them. Not one of those things can inform any individual given person on their risk of anything under any circumstances. There is no literature that can refute me on that point. So the answer is none.
Literature.
Yeah, and Mark is correct when he said none of the above as his response to that.
So, do you believe in the paranormal?
Well, it depends on how you define paranormal.
Be specific.
Yes, be specific.
How do I go back to carnivore after 3 months of eating garbage? I was carnivore for 3 years.
You would go and do an appropriate 6-week transition from your junk diet back to a good one.
Okay.
That's what you do.
Do you recommend using olive oil from plastic glass bottle for cooking red meat? If not, any replacement?
I do not recommend using olive oil for any purpose whatsoever, under any circumstances, irrespective of the container it comes from. No.
There you go. Thoughts on nicotinic acid flush niacin, aka B3, creates a red flush effect?
Well, what's your question?
Thoughts on it?
I have no thoughts on it.
Okay. Next then. My mother takes methotrexate for psoriatic arthritis.
Yeah.
Is it dangerous long term, and could a meat and fat diet be beneficial for that?
Absolutely. I would suggest and signpost to your mother that she might enjoy the musings of Mr. Phil Escott and his group on face pages concerning such things, various forms of arthritis and stuff. Yeah. Yes, a carnivore diet is likely to have an ameliorative effect, absolutely. In terms of the drug that you're talking about there, also not an expert on that particular drug. So, what I do find with most pharmacological drugs, though, is that most of them, in one way or another, are contraindicated toxic nonsense that only ever mask symptomologies and never actually cure any disease process, it seems. Not a fan of the pharmaceutical drugs at all.
Okay. Does the glycemic index of sugary things people put in their throat matter? A lower index might cause a smaller spike, but the sugar will still absorb and prolong insulin production,
Okay.
right?
Let me be very clear about this. The GI is an absolute fantasy. It's nonsense. And the reason it's nonsense is because the GI tables calculated for various foods are on a group of individuals that was vastly too small, and the noise around the signal was so vast on any given food bolus, not just between different individuals being vastly different in how they responded to that exact same thing, but also within the same individual on a test-retest basis. There is no information in the GI table at all of any kind. It is an absolute pseudoscientific fantasy. It's a waste of time. All carbohydrates break down to sugars. That's how they work. All exogenous sugar is unnecessary in the human diet, period. Above a given level in any given individual, exogenous carbohydrates are absolutely toxic. And given that they are unnecessary, that would seem to guide as to how many a person should ideally consume. If you have found something that works for you in your life and doesn't cause you a problem, though, I'm not suggesting you should change it. Unless you are an imbecile, like Paul Solid I don't know, who talks about pouring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of grams of the worst possible kind of carbohydrates down his stupid fucking neck every day of his life. In which case I would have a problem with that. But, 40, 60 even grams of certain carbohydrates in a day, probably not a major deal for most people.
Okay. Will tannins in coffee affect the absorbency of stem cell enhance?
Not to my knowledge, or anybody else's. There's no data available on that question.
Is there any benefit from taking exogenous ketones on the carnivore diet to increase fat loss?
No, none at all. In fact, that's counterintuitive. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to even attempt to do that. Yes, dusters for Master Chief Burgess again. Yeah.
Hi, I added back some fruit and vegetables because I saw your video pertaining the 6 weeks transition. Doesn't this interfere with my energy levels because I'm delaying fat adaptation?
I have never said that someone who has hammered over should then go back and add fruit back in. You should not do that. Please don't do that. That fork in the road is behind you now. You hammered over. Now we work on getting your health back. We don't do that by going back to the place that we should have made the right decision in the first place. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Hi Bart, Pim, you said you only fast when there is a good reason to do so. What would some of those reasons be? Thanks. I can't remember ever saying that because that doesn't make any sense. I mean, obviously you want to have a reason to do it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like I never fast unless...
Right. Okay, so the normal reasons that a person, any given person, would have a good indication for doing some kind of fasting for some period of time would be an overplus of adipose tissue, being fat, or an autoimmune problem of some kind, both of which respond quite well to fasting.
The reason that I was dry fasting was primarily to see if I could correct my sinuses that I still have problems with. It solved some other stuff that, like, my whole life I have been very, very, very cold. I dry fasted a few times. I did a 3-day, a 5-day, and a 6-day. And after the 6th day, I haven't really been that cold, like chilled to the bone, that I've been my whole freaking life. So something happened there, but my sinuses have didn't seem to be corrected.
Cool.
So I was gonna do more fasting, but then it became summer and just way too hot to not drink. So I shall do more experiments in winter.
There are also applications for fasting in cancer.
Yes, especially, I wouldn't say especially dry fasting, but yes.
Right.
And other health problems, obviously. Then I can say especially dry fasting.
Lovely.
Lovely. I think we have something here. A super sticker. Yay! Thank you, Mo. Can't see what that is. Maybe that's a pineapple.
Is that Mo from Mo's Bar?
Let's hope not. He wouldn't have any money to send super stickers.
No.
He's busy buying beer or selling it, and I don't know what he's doing with his money.
Given that he's a cartoon character. All right.
Righty-o. maybe do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Where did you learn how to swear so creatively? What websites did you use?
The double banger swear words, like fuck trumpet or ass hat or cock monkey or, you know, all of those things that I throw around. I actually originally stole the idea from the character Steve Stifler from American Pie, who was calling everyone a cock lunch. So it's like you take a rude word or a perceived rude word and you hyphenate that with a perfectly innocuous clean word. Oh, ass hat, fuck monkey, cock trumpet. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Can you please explain the implications of the Randall cycle in the context of infants and toddlers drinking milk?
Well, the Randall cycle is in effect in such toddlers drinking a lot of milk because milk contains both fat and sugar. And the idea of that in the infant is to cause that infant to rapidly gain a bunch of fat, which they can then use for oxidative process to power the growth spurt that they will undergo having put on enough baby fat to do so with. There you go.
Very good.
Very good.
I hear that gluconeogenesis is demand-driven. What determines the demand? Thanks.
Gluconeogenesis is usually demand-driven, for the most part demand-driven. However, it can be supply-driven if you pour in a bunch of supply. And the demand for gluconeogenesis is mostly the drawdown of glucose from the blood by those tissues which use glucose necessarily, being muscles and nervous tissue, brain. Oh, and the testes. Them too.
Okay.
Okay.
Grapplers who practice since childhood have superhuman physics even if they no longer practice. Is it because they were selected for it, or did the training push their bodies past genetical limit?
What makes you think that grapplers who've practiced since childhood have superhuman anything? Where did you get that idea from? How are you qualifying that statement? And yes, a person that trains a certain way all their life will have fitness commensurate with that training. That's how it works. That's what I mean by all fitness is specific. And there's no such thing as general fitness. And even if there was, general fitness is not synonymous with general health. That's another common error of interpretation. No, fit is not healthy. Unfit is unhealthy, but fit can be just as unhealthy as unfit. It's an inverted U-shaped curve or an N-shaped curve. There's an optimal level of fitness as well as everything else in the world.
Dry fasting is the best. I did 11 days. That's freaking awesome.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I was aiming for 7 and I had to give up on day 6. So maybe I'll get to 11 someday. But it does get a bit boring after a while, doesn't it? But tell us more. What happened when you did 11 days? Did you solve something?
Yes.
I love dry fasting. I'm just gonna hop to this one. When I fast, I just get more cold and tired, so I just wanted to comment on that. I assume that you're water fasting or something. Try dry fasting. It's completely different. I get hungry, I get cold, I get a lot more tired generally on a water fast. So you might want to try that.
Okay.
Then let's move to this one because we just had this one. My question wasn't clear. I did 1 week full carnivore and then added back some fruit vegetables in week 2 since I'm in the transition period.
Yeah, that's not how a transition works. No. Goodness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can go back to where we were. Doing blood glucose checks. I am getting 6 millimoles on 0 carbs. Is this a problem?
There is no evidence extant anywhere in the literature that it is. None at all.
Thoughts on nicotinic acid? Oh, we had that one.
We did.
So don't ask it twice, because Ted will get cross.
You will.
Very cross.
Very, and you don't want to piss Ted off, trust me.
L-theanine is pretty great, no? It is just green tea extract.
Everybody swears by something, don't they?
When you get your electrolytes checked during blood work, is it possible to have adequate levels in the blood but not in the cellular level and still be deficient?
Yes, it is. And the other is possible too, the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will cerebral stem cell help with vitiligo?
We are not allowed to make therapeutic claims of any kind. We cannot say the product will have an effect on any specific condition, complaint, or whatever. What we can do is say, with some peer-reviewed evidence, that the stuff does exactly what it says it does, and that is that it causes the release of adult stem cells which repair and renew tissues of all kinds in your body, and that there is an anti-inflammatory effect there as well, which can be well supported by adding Cyactive, a specific anti-inflammatory, and also plasma flow to clear that jolly fibrin away and allow the stuff to get to where it needs to be. Plus it's the cheapest way to go if you're going to buy it. You get a wellness pack of those 3 products.
We have a super chat.
Yay!
That I missed a minute ago. Seen your videos and you appearing in others about insulin resistance and Randall cycle, but what would actually happen to different parts of the body if the amount of glucose would be allowed into the cell?
If you mean if glucose were allowed to enter cells according to its concentration gradient, then what would happen is vast damage to the inside workings of those cells by glycation. Sugars bind chemically to protein structures and fatty protein structures, thus changing their chemical conformation in such a way as to interfere with function, cause inflammation, cause, in serious cases, cause the death of various cells and cell organelles and things. It's really, it's a toxin that we just do not need. So that's why the Randall cycle exists, precisely in order to prevent that from happening. It's evolved for that very purpose. It's really obvious when you start to think logically about it.
I did dry fasting for 23 hours today. Excellent feeling. Would love to do it each day. I would recommend only doing it every other day. Generally, when you dry fast, the rule is that you want to do twice as much recovery after it, but I think 23 hours is so short that it's not necessarily necessary to do double amount. But just be a little bit careful with that so that you don't get dehydrated, because if you restart the kidneys and start pissing again and then don't drink, you can fuck up your electrolytes quite easily.
Is that a technical term?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Stephen, Coach Stephen. How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Yes, hello, Stephen. Didn't see you there because you hadn't.
He has not been seen.
He didn't have a question.
And he has not been seen at the camouflage training.
Okay.
Yep.
Any advice on how slowly I should reduce carbs if I try the 6-week transition? I feel good at first, but eventually get crazy headaches, irritability, and brain fog. I'm pretty determined.
Well, you work out how many carbs you are currently consuming, and you reduce that proportionately every week for 6 weeks to the point where it's so close to zero as you can just drop the last bit out, and that's the end of it. It's like a straight line thing, or you can do a curvilinear if you like, with the halving it each week. That makes most of the pain up front and deals with that more rapidly, perhaps.
So what about what I was doing? I wasn't doing it for the transition, but ongoingly, because I do get headaches and migraines if I eat zero carb for a longer period of time. So as soon as I get a headache, I would cook some rice or something up to, somewhere between 30 and 40 grams of carbs, usually enough for me. And I eat that, and then I go back to zero carb for a while until it comes back again. What do you think about that approach?
If it works for you, fantastic.
For transition as well?
Sure.
You could try that. If it's not an ongoing thing, if the carbs actually solve the problem, might be a way of doing it. The other construct we hear is glycemic load. Does it suffer the same issues as GI?
Yeah, good question, Dave. No. GL, glycemic load, is more valid because it removes this ridiculous idea of the rate at which carbs release sugar into your bloodstream. And it's more an absolute measurement of how much carbohydrate you're taking in. a high glycemic load is a bad idea. Yeah.
Okie dokie then.
Okie dokie.
Been trying to find the calculation for protein you posted in a previous FAQ. Can you please repost it?
Yes, take your height in meters. I am 1.68 meters tall, for example. You'll probably be taller than that because almost everybody in the world is. And you take that number, 1.68, or whatever your height in meters is, and you multiply that by itself. Then you multiply the result of that by the ideal BMI of 22.5, and that will tell us what your ideal lean or non-fat mass is, unless you are a highly developed muscular athlete, in which case this is completely no good. So if you're somewhere in the middle of the bell-shaped curve as a normal human being, then this will work just fine. And so you would take that weight in kilograms and you would consume 2 grams of protein per that weight per day, preferably in one sitting. And then you would fill the rest of your diet with fats to satiety. Those fats coming from an animal source, if you please. Thank you very much.
So we had this super chat that you answered when I didn't listen. I have follow up with another super chat.
Yes.
What kind of symptoms would a person experience?
Well, it depends. The most obvious would be signs of inflammation and secondary disease processes which we know have inflammation as etiologies depending on how long it's going on for. I mean, one of the most obvious ramifications of the Randall cycle is the thing called type 2 diabetes. How's that?
Right.
William Vladimir, that's a top name.
Yes. What is the purpose of ketones if fat and gluconeogenesis cover all the body's needs? Do they free some glucose from muscles in a case of physical activity by providing an alternative fuel to a brain?
Ketones are a second messenger hormone-like thing. It's a way of communicating the energetic state of various tissues around the body to other tissues around the body, thus to allow the homeostatic mechanism to optimize everything for the best, for the circumstances best conduced, really. Ketones are also a means to rapidly provide energetic substrates out to the body when the level of glucose is below where the homeostatic set point would have it. Because ketones are basically acetyl units, which can then be broken down and fed directly into the Krebs cycle at tissues away from the liver where the ketones are made.
Okay then. Insomniac, 30-year carnivore, 18 months, stem enhanced 2 times 2 a day, 12 months, no improvement. If you were me, would you keep on taking them?
I would suggest to you that there are 5 health hacks that you need to follow on a daily basis. Cereal products, 3 cereal products, not just 1, 3 cereal products, together in a wellness pack is one of those 5 things. There are 4 other things you should also do. If you have not watched that video, go and do that, please. And correct your cereal intakes to include the 3 products you need on a daily basis. And if the other 4 things are in need of correction, then correct those too. Try that for 6 months and come back to me if it still doesn't work. Which is unlikely. Extremely unlikely.
Lovely happy Pim. When might we look forward to your hair being purple again? It probably won't.
Do they know some other Pim that I'm not acquainted with?
That's fucking rude, isn't it?
Again, my girlfriend tells me that things that are true, by definition, are therefore
So you were rude?
not rude.
You were rude.
Yeah. You are absolutely lovely, but happy, Pim? Depends on what I've been doing most recently. Often, I have that effect.
Wonder why. Can I consume raw blood and cow brains to regenerate my brain power?
No, you can't. That's ridiculous.
What are your thoughts on FOX04 peptide as a senolytic?
I have no thoughts on that whatsoever. I haven't even looked into it.
I've been skiing all day and haven't been hungry. Is this normal on carnivore?
Yes.
What do you think of the diet designed by Robert Atkins in the 60s?
It's fine. It's not quite carnivore, which is the ideal diet for a human being, but at least he was one of the pioneers around the restriction of too many exogenous carbohydrates. Yeah.
How do you get electrolytes in while dry fasting?
You don't.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't drink, your kidneys will retain a lot of the electrolytes. You will be a little bit depleted, but not that badly. So if I get you, Professor Bott, the Randall cycle is there to prevent the damage sugar would wreak on our body when it binds to protein structures without it. I thought the Randall cycle was for ATP.
Well, why would you think it was for ATP? The thing that is for ATP, if you want to use that terminology, would be, well, the Krebs cycle and also glycogenolysis/glycolysis, and also the activities of the PCR system and the activities of adenylate kinase. The Randall cycle is a bit of, well, it's a construct, but it's various bits of mechanical machinery, for want of a better term, that operate in such a way as to protect cells from being overglycated. Of course, there is a sacrificial lamb, and it's the endothelial cells, which can be replaced much more rapidly, and also the blood cells, same deal. What's so funny?
Were you finished? Were you finished?
I am now.
If I make my 5-year-old son do 100 to 200 push-ups every day, will he grow up tall and strong with broad shoulders that's appealing to women? That was funny.
Uh-huh. Do I even dignify that with any kind of response?
You don't have to.
Yeah, okay.
I was looking for questions. Right. Can I eat 10 raw egg yolks for breakfast every morning?
You can do whatever you want. That's the great thing about life.
If you have the money to do so.
Yes.
Maybe you have your own birds, then it might be easier.
Yes. Why? Yeah. Yes.
If they're laying,
Yes,
not
you
like
can.
ours.
I would say yes, you can. And why would you not have the whites as well?
Indeed. Are you as disappointed as I am regarding the quackery that Dr. Ainfeld now sprouts?
Well, I think if people want to know what Ted's opinion is of Dr. Enfield, I think Ted makes it pretty damn clear over there on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Anyone that still doesn't know where to find Ted on Twitter should immediately go and follow Twed on Twitter. I mean Ted on Twitter, and you'll find him by punching in at @HRH_Ted, and he will tell you exactly what he thinks of Enfield. So
Feral grandma can make you look less short.
Yes.
Isn't that great?
Lovely. There are people shorter than me. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying I'm on the short end for adult males.
Right, we only have 7 more minutes, and I have 7 cute questions.
Right,
and
let's go then.
more. I ask in a different way. Will demanding activities like gymnastics or grappling from the young age permanently increase one's height, shoulder width, and general robustness?
Nothing is permanent.
Here you go.
Yeah.
How about Pim? John from Brisbane. Could you please describe what happens to blood sugar once the Randall cycle closes down glucose entry to muscle liver cells? What's the pathway into fat?
Okay, well what happens is the glucose level in the blood builds up, precisely because it's being blockaded from entering the cells, and then glucose goes back to the liver, and the liver has a bunch of enzymes there, which then start to build fat. Also, muscle cells can transmute sugar into fat as well, by the way. But mostly it happens in the liver. And if you want to look up,
that fat will probably be used when you exercise, if you exercise.
Yeah, and if you want to look up that pathway, do a Google on it. It's pretty straightforward.
How does a long-chain acyl-CoA modulate PDH activity via PDH kinases and AMPK? And how do changes in redox status and NAD plus NADH ratio contribute to the metabolic shifts in insulin resistance and obesity?
Go and watch my video entitled The Randall Cycle 2024 edition or something. It's all covered in there in great detail. And/or I've got a whole playlist on my channel on the Randall Cycle. It's all covered there. Thanks for the question.
Good. What is the Bot-K cure for addiction and alcoholism?
Stop doing it. Some people can moderate and some people have to abstain. I am an abstainer because I cannot moderate. Which means that sometimes I'm abstaining and sometimes I'm not. Really, because I'm also not that good at being consistent. But I did hit a 6 this week at cricket.
Very good. And you have many, many trees.
And I do have many trees. Yes. And
Okay.
huge tracts of land.
Have you guys heard of Nassim Nicholas Taleb? He's known for a number of things. Statistician, books like The Black Swan and Anti-Fragility, the article IQ is a pseudoscientific swindle, etc. Thoughts?
No, I've not heard of him. Not at all. Sorry about that.
What are your thoughts on the so-called longevity expert Dr. Stainfield? He is a friend of yours from New Zealand, I believe, so you might know him. Is he credible?
Okay, number one, he is not a friend at all. The fact that we share a country of origin doesn't make us friends. I don't know the man. Boy, I should say. He looks like he should be doing his homework, frankly. And no, he's not credible. Not remotely. He's an absolute fuckstain. He's a complete arse monkey. He's a fuck trumpet of the highest order. Not remotely credible. Neither is he an expert on anything whatsoever, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a comment.
Yes,
I just told my friend to stop eating sugar. He hung up the phone. I am pissed.
whatever.
Well, it's funny if someone is that sensitive that they hang up the phone after being told to stop eating sugar.
What?
Fuck you!
Fuck you. Right.
Is there anything wrong with drinking fresh raw blood? Isn't it just like raw milk plus iron?
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Not at all. I read they found people living in Azerbaijan at high altitude consuming around 1950 calories per day. Animal-plant mix would routinely live past 100, and they even found some people 150 plus. Thoughts? Bullshit?
Number one, nobody ever consumes any calories. It is a physical impossibility. You cannot consume calories. Lose that from your lexicon. It's rubbish, it's nonsense, and it immediately paints you as someone who knows nothing whatever about physics or science. Secondly, the longevity outcomes for any group of people are a vastly complex tapestry of factors that play into it, and to point to any one factor and say, look, that's associated, will not establish causality or provide any utility of any kind whatsoever. Basically, it's a waste of time, the whole line of thought and logic. How's that?
This is a super chat, I
Yeah.
think. Thank you very much. Long live Pimbatia.
Indeed. And the way to help it live longer is to come and visit us here and put some work in. Because, my word, there's work to be done here.
Oh, yes. And good morning, Harry.
Yes.
Glad you could join us last minute.
Yes.
I mean,
Good lad.
last minute.
Last minute. Are you streaming today, Harry? If so, let us know you're streaming today. We'll be busy on the farm, but we can still promote your stream so that people can go there.
Right, last few questions.
Right, good.
Does a fat-adapted person have, in general, smaller glycogen stores than a carb-adapted person because he can also oxidize fat at the same time?
No, your resting glycogen levels are a training status determined thing almost entirely, nothing whatever to do with your diet.
If you're on a carnivore diet, does that mean you've become a meat enthusiast to the point where you start giving cows motivational speeches about how delicious they are?
I haven't yet started communicating that to the cows.
Maybe I should pre-read these questions.
Maybe.
I enjoy a bit of whiskey in the evening and a few coffees during the day. Do either of you have experience with this? I heard it's good for longevity and moderation.
That's just rubbish. That's just an excuse for taking in things that are completely unnecessary. I'm not going to knock a bit of coffee and a whiskey now and then, perhaps not one a day, though. But by the same token, no, to say it's good for you is just rubbish. My word.
I was quite impressed by your deep knowledge in physics, such as quantum mechanics. How do you manage to be so knowledgeable in many areas?
Because I have read widely. I have been an academic for over 2 decades in a previous life. I am blessed with the kind of memory for facts, figures that's useful. I am able to think critically, which is actually not the rule. It's more the exception in life these days. And I have a thick enough skin to be prepared to stand up and say what I believe to be true and correct, and be challenged on that. And it seems like there's nobody that's up to it.
Harry goes live in an hour from now.
Right, good. So anytime in the next 12 hours, if you tune into Harry's channel, he'll probably still be there.
Yes.
Won't you, Harry? He has much to say, does Harry?
Even if it's next week, he will still be there.
That's right. We love you, Harry. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. Are your cows at higher risk to contract parasites since they are free range and can eat some small animals? Can infected meat be identified by its looks?
Okay, so our cows are not free ranging. They are kept in demarcated areas and moved regularly, precisely in order to prevent many of those kind of issues, or not prevent, but make it less likely that such things will occur.
We're moving them every 1-2 days,
Yeah.
something like that, depending on how small we can make the space.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a problem that we don't have enough cows
Yeah.
for the space we have, so sometimes we leave them a bit longer than a day, but
yeah.
ideal.
Okay, and what small animals exactly do you think the cows are eating a lot of?
Exactly, and why would they give them parasites? Why would they have cow parasites? That's not how it works.
No. Okay, good.
How many cows do we have and what breed? We got 14,
Yes.
7 big ones, 7 small ones. They are low-line Angus.
They are.
There you go.
And they say moo.
Especially when they're locked in the corral and can't get out.
Moo.
Prior to your 2-week priming, were you fat adapted?
Me or her?
You, I guess.
Yes, I was.
I think it's the same answer for both of us anyway.
Yeah.
Why does my blood sugar go up on a carnivore diet?
Okay, I've also talked about that at length on other videos, which you should do a search on my channel on. There are many reasons, apparently, why this can and does occur, and there is no evidence whatsoever that the elevated resting or fasting blood glucose that some carnivores are experiencing is at all problematic. You might be interested in my discussion with Dr. Suresh recently on this topic.
So, Shell seems to think that Harry needs defending from us picking on him.
Harry's
Poor
got broad
Harry.
shoulders, he can take it.
Yes, and he says, I'm trying to stick to 3-hour live streams. Trying.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm trying too, Harry. My mum
Okay.
says so. Ask her. She'll tell you how
Last
trying I am.
fucking question. 'Cause
Last
we
fucking
are
question.
2 minutes over.
Jesus, well, that's overtime. Ted
Yeah.
will demand an extra payment.
Do you
won't
make
he?
your coffee with milk or water?
Goat's milk. And before that, I was using bovine cream, but I'm not doing that anymore because I'm doing goat's milk, because we're living off the land here with stuff we're producing ourselves, pretty much.
Right, that's it.
Very good. Okay, well, that only leaves, of course, the singing of the national anthem, which goes a little bit something like this. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. Right. See you next week.
Bye.